hundreds of people have taken to Chicago's most prestigious downtown shopping district this Black Friday to protest the shooting death of a black teenager by a white police officer. These are pictures just coming in now. You can see that it is a very rainy day in Chicago at this point. A number of protesters being very peaceful from what we've been told by crews on the scene there this afternoon. We know that the Reverend Jesse Jackson is also on site today in the busy shopping day. Nancy Harty, reporter at WBBM News Radio, is on the scene in Chicago with the protesters. She joins us now by phone.
There's a bit of a lull right now. We are in the middle of the Magnificent Mile, as it's called here, Michigan Avenue, right near the Water Tower, major shopping district. For the last 2 hours, hundreds of people have been marching up Michigan Avenue in the cold and the rain to protest the shooting of Laquan McDonald and the delay in releasing that video. There are still plenty of people here, but as I said, there's a bit of a lull right now. Police still out in heavy presence, lots of bikes, police officers on foot as well. Before, they were chanting in the middle of the street, essentially shutting it down to vehicular traffic. There were some shoppers that were able to get by on the sidewalk, but they would do things like they would periodically stop and they would count to 16 and then chant 16 shots. The number of times Laquan McDonald was shot by a white Chicago police officer. People are out here calling for major changes in the police department, saying they want the superintendent to know, they want greater transparency, they want accountability, not just from Officer Jason Van Dyke, who's been indicted in this case, but others, officers that they say stood by and didn't turn Van Dyke in, didn't say anything about the shooting. So for now, and by the way, it is a very diverse crowd. We've got all sorts of different races, all sorts of age groups, lots of people out here suffering in the cold and the rain, but out here to show their voices and to discourage people from spending money, hoping an economic protest brings more attention to this matter.
That's Nancy. I know I was reading online a little bit earlier that even a number of religious leaders, Chicago's teachers union's president, community activists, they were all coming out for this protest today. It does look like the weather may be playing a little bit of a factor there with the cold and wet weather. But have you seen any shoppers or retail employees deterred by this protest? That's what they wanted to do. Obviously, Magnificent Mile in Chicago, a very active shopping district, especially on Black Friday.
Right, so before this protest got started about 2 hours ago. Before that, I was out in a slightly different area of downtown Chicago talking to shoppers, and I have to tell you there was a noticeable difference in the number of people out on Black Friday. A lot fewer people. A lot of people that I talked to said the crowds were not what they have been in the past. And everyone that I spoke to was aware of this protest that was coming up today, and they said that they were planning on avoiding the area because of it. So I think this has had the intended effect. It has kept people away. Of course, that being said, there are still plenty of people on the sidewalks along Michigan Avenue, plenty of people with shopping bags, but definitely this group here is outnumbering them.
Nancy, we should point out, too, you said this protest has been going on for the last couple of hours, and it's been relatively peaceful to this point, right?
That's true. I only witnessed 2 people be put in handcuffs, and I couldn't tell you what they did. There was talk about people sitting down or laying down in the street. They've essentially taken over the street, so I don't know that there's a need for that. But yes, it's been very peaceful so far. A number of the people that I spoke to said that they were unhappy that one of the earlier protests earlier this week, did devolve to some people ripping Christmas lights off of the city's Christmas tree in Millennium Park, and they say that might detract from the message. So this so far has been very peaceful. Even, some people, like you would expect, standing in police officers' faces, yelling things. A lot of people commenting. There are some police officers videotaping this, and the protesters would say, "Oh, that camera works, and does that have sound?" Of course, alluding to the fact that when the video was finally released of the shooting with Laquan McDonald, the audio was not on there.
Now, I know there's been some different things put up online, too. A Facebook page posted by March organizers wanted additional demands in this case. Are you hearing those types of things, or are they just making their presence known at this point?
It's a bit of that, and it's also just calling for greater changes and reforms within the city of Chicago's police department. A lot of people signed here about Tamir Rice, people talking about Michael Brown. They're saying that this is a problem everywhere, but they're saying in Chicago it's been a problem for a long time, and they're hoping that this makes a difference. A lot of people calling for the ouster of the state's attorney, who, did not press charges until earlier this week. A lot of people saying the superintendent needs to go, and then a lot of people saying that the Independent Police Review Authority, the board that is tasked with investigating police misconduct and shootings, that is not transparent enough, that not enough of those cases have been found to be, police misconduct in those cases, and they feel that needs to be overhauled as well. By the way, we were talking earlier, you mentioned Reverend Jesse Jackson is here. There's a lot of politicians here as well. Members of the teachers union. I have not seen the president of the teachers union. I was told that she might be encouraged to keep away because they were afraid that might muddle the message here. But all of those leaders, those civil rights leaders, were saying that they're here to give props to the younger people who've been out protesting in the streets since the video was released and telling them that they support them. They're here for them.
Okay, Nancy Harty from WBBM News Radio, thank you so much for your reporting.